Today is Baseball Chaos, and we have a special guest going on a little bit different topic than just baseball. A little bit more for the hobby scene, a little bit more for those who really dive in on individual players. Let's get into it.
Hoskins, a high fly ball into left center. That's blasted way up high and down the line in left. And fair. That's blasted way up high and down the line in left. And fair. Kept it just inside the pole. Ortiz into left field. There she goes. Alonso digs it. Sends it in the air. Deep center field.
Joining me today is Jeffrey Bame. He is a longtime baseball card collector. He's also has his own channel, Blabbin, Bout, Slabbin, with his buddy Chris. Been on for about 2.5 years, and it's been something I've been following for a while, along with joining other people in this nice community with Spitballin Cards. Another one I follow very closely, and also a side note that I didn't even bring up before we started recording, he's a movie star. So go check him out. He does voiceovers. He's an NCIS. It's very nice to have you, dude, on this channel and just talking about cards, talking about baseball, as you are a Brewers fan. Welcome in.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Thank you. Yes, I am a Brewer fan. I would be remiss if I didn't start out with a little tribute to Bob Ueker, who is a longtime Brewer broadcaster, very big in the baseball community in general, but we always felt like as Brewer fans, he was one of our own. I grew up listening to him on the radio before a lot of games were on TV. And so, yeah, it was sad, a sad day for Brewer fandom yesterday, but it was good to see all of the tributes to Ueker and the stories he told on Instagram and other social media. So shout out to all the Brewer fans out there, and a life well lived for Mr. Baseball.
Absolutely. He's I think he takes the reign for being the comedian of baseball. Like the funniest guy you'll ever hear on the radio, on broadcasting, altogether. All the things I've heard from people that were able to meet him, just bringing smiles to everybody's faces, and able to make fun of himself.
Yeah, great sense of humor, very self-deprecating. He didn't obviously have a huge baseball career. Yeah, he did win a ring with the Cardinals, but
and he played with the greats.
He did,
like Hank Aaron. I mean,
Bob Gibson,
Matthews.
Bob Gibson,
yeah, all of them. So he got to meet a lot of great people, and they seemed to love him, even though his career was, I think it was a 200 average, but it's really his personality that brought people to the game. So thank you for bringing him up, because I would have felt really bad for leaving him out, especially for the amount of I guess aura that he brought to Milwaukee and just the Brewers organization itself, being there for the big wins with CC Sabathia and all that, and calling those games. I found out about him, ironically, through Major League Baseball, Major League, the movie, just a bit outside, So
he ad-libbed most of those lines on there. He's just such a naturally funny guy, and a lot of people know him from Major League, or he was on the show Mr. Belvedere. He even appeared over 100 times on the Johnny Carson show. So he's just a naturally gifted storyteller, and amazing to listen to on the radio. Close game, he was right on top of it. If it's a blowout, he was telling stories from, as you mentioned, some of the guys he played with. Or against. He just had a story for everything. So he was kind of the Milwaukee version of Vin Scully, who's another great that was recently lost out here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's a rough, I'd say a rough time right now. The amount of posts I'm seeing of, rest in peace from legends in baseball, 2024, 2025 right now has just been significantly more than I would have expected in a single year. We just lost Willie Mays, so it's just a long list, and hopefully we can live through the next generations of sharing their stories so that they don't get forgot, because they're big staples in Major League Baseball. But
absolutely, yeah. And as you mentioned, I am a Brewer fan, so it was a long suffering before that CC Sabathia era. That was kind of the resurgence. The Brewers hadn't been to the playoffs in 26 years, and then that 2018, that was great. So
Hmm.
we since then we've had some success getting to Game 7 of the NLCS against the Dodgers, but not quite making the World Series. So I believe, along with maybe your Mariners, we're around the longest World Series droughts.
Uh, I believe so. When is the last time you guys went to the World Series?
82 for the Brewers.
So the Mariners have never been.
Right.
So it really depends. I think well, it depends if you want to consider the Mariners the same as the Pilots, I guess.
Well,
Um,
the Pilots became the Brewers, so that was yeah.
yeah,
They
we
were there
were
for
an
1 year.
extension of the Brewers, so it's weird how connected
Yeah,
we are.
yeah.
Um,
But 77, I think, was the Mariners' first season, right? So yeah,
I
that's a
believe so.
long
Yeah,
time.
it's a
Yeah.
long time, but at least you guys, yeah, I guess snapping a 26-year drought for the playoffs is a little bit worse than our 22 years. So I guess
Yeah.
I understand how you feel.
Yes, we
But
come from long-suffering franchises. Maybe this is our year.
yeah, maybe. I don't think it's going to be our year for the Mariners. Just looking at this
Yeah.
offseason. But I do have a video that's coming out after this that's going to dive a little bit into the possibility of what the Mariners are looking to do, and I'm starting to kind of key up on the certain things that the moves that they're making. It This last move with Solano might actually be that stepping stone in that direction, but at the same time, I'm looking at what's available and then who they might trade for. It's a big question mark, but if they continue to make moves that are like Solano's status, then well, I think they're going a certain direction. But I'll put that in the next video that I'm recording right after this. But as far as
That'll
the
be
Brewers
exciting to
go,
see. Yeah, because this has been a crazy offseason for all of
all of them.
baseball. I mean, we're kind of waiting for the trickle down effect of the giant teams and the giant spenders and the giant free agents, but not a lot of movement on the middle and lower tier teams at all.
I'm just waiting for Roki to sign with the Brewers. Just people are like, what?
That would be great. That would be a
That'd be
huge
great.
coup. Yeah, I would love him to sign with a smaller market team. I see he's narrowed his choices down to 3 teams, not the Padres, which
Supposedly,
isn't surprising. Given that.
I don't believe a word that Joel Wolf is saying. I believe it's Joel. Is it Joel? Wolf. I know his last name. His agent, because uh, he said so many things for the past 3 months and has contradicted like all the moves, all the things they've said has been contradicted one after another. He started off with saying he doesn't want to go to a big market team because of the media. He doesn't want that harsh media. He dealt with that in Japan, and that was a big issue. And then they automatically list the teams that he's meeting with, and every single one of them is a big market team,
Right.
except for 3, which were the White Sox. He didn't refuse to meet with the Orioles, and there was 2 unknown teams, and there's still an unknown team out there. But
Which,
everything has
if
been
we're
big.
being honest, the White Sox are a big market team. Chicago's a huge market. They were terrible last year,
Yeah.
but I don't feel bad for them the way I feel bad for teams like Kansas City and Minnesota and Milwaukee.
Yeah, who should get a take out of it if they were really going after him. But I mean, and that also opens up to the next thing that he said. He says, we're not going to meet with any teams like that are trying to bring players. Don't bring players into the meetings. We don't want that. And then they go to meet with the Dodgers and they're meeting with all their players. So it's like, I don't believe a single word that he says. They
So
keep
you
putting
think
out
these
this
might
stuff.
not even be the 3 finalists, which
I don't believe so.
yeah.
No, no, because it doesn't make any sense to me why uh, you would continue to put out all this news, and it all seems to be a diversion ploy to move it to a certain direction to get people thinking a certain thing. I would say it's most likely going to be the Padres just because of the latest video that was taken from the hotel. I used to live near San Diego, so I mean I know Petco Park really well, and there's the left field balcony which has apartments, and then there's a hotel. And someone from those balcony was zooming in with their camera, and it showed Roki. It was his exact pitching move. Like there's nobody, no way, his same frame, everything. We knew it was him. There's like 30 people sitting there next to him watching him throw in left field. Um, and he was wearing all Padre gear. So it's like, why are you going there to put on their colors? Like, what's the point of that? I mean, maybe it was, maybe it was just a coincidence that he shows up to the Padre Stadium to get looked at to throw the ball a little bit, and he happens to wear a brown shirt with gold
I don't
shorts.
know. That's an interesting question. How does this recruitment process work for pro athletes when they go? I mean, do they want to be on the field? Do they want to feel what it's like to pitch from that mound? Do they give them all this swag and all this gear like they do for college recruits?
I'm
That's yeah,
sure,
that's an
but
interesting topic. Yeah.
but why like, all right, no, go change. We're gonna go throw outside. Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. San Diego's warm enough. Like, he's probably already wearing something similar to this. Like, I don't know if he's wearing a suit to these meetings, or if this was an intentional meeting, or if it was like a, hey, I want to go throw at your park because I happen to be here. There's a lot of unknowns. It's all speculation and stuff like that. But like, everybody's like, oh, Dodgers, because they have Otani, they have Yamamoto. They have a big market just for Japan, but that would really, again, go against the whole big market harsh media, because he was so, I would say, attacked by the Japanese media because of his want to go to the US to be in the MLB instead of staying, where they love him and they want him to stay. So there's a bit of that stress that he had to put up with. And you're
Hmm.
saying, oh, I'm going to go to LA, where the Japanese market media is the largest in the MLB. Like, you're just going to a new place, and they're going to report on you, and they're probably going to ask the same question and be like, oh, you made it. Like, how does it feel to leave your country and play for another league when you could be the star in Japan? You know what I mean? It could be the same
Yeah.
vibes.
Yeah. And from his perspective, I get wanting to play somewhere where he feels some level of comfort, whether
Yeah.
that's teammates that he's known or is familiar with,
Yeah.
or the cultural landscape of the city. I get that completely. He's so
Well,
yeah,
and
I don't
that's a
know.
well, and that's the thing. Like, I there's options. Like, he could have he could have gone to Chicago for the Cubs. You have
Hmm.
Imanaga there, and he did amazing, and he was supported. There's good pitching development there and coaching, and you saw how Imanaga was able to adjust from the MPB over to the MLB, and that's going to be the biggest strain for him, is that new ball, that mound distance, everything.
Yeah.
So that would be, it's not a small market team, but they're not going to have that insane amount of pressure from Japanese media being in LA, at least for the Dodgers perspective. But then, of course, you still have the Padres, have you, Darvish, and I know him and you are very
Hmm.
close. And I would say the Mariners, which I initially did, but I didn't put it into perspective how the fallout went with Yusei Kikuchi. I don't think he was treated the best by the organization, and I think the organization is kind of shitty for this. But the way they kind of pushed him out when they brought him in, he didn't work out. Um, I think that's kind of a bruise on the Mariners organization, even though Roki himself, in an interview, and I made a video back before this a few weeks ago, why I thought he would go to the Mariners after Jerry Dipoto said that he would be a priority. Obviously, that was BS. They never even got a meeting. Um, the He said specifically that Ichiro is that's his idol. That's the guy he's always watched, his favorite player he's ever going to be around, and he wishes that he could, meet him and talk with him and train near him. Well, Ichiro's in the system. He could be there for him. He could meet his
Hmm.
hero and do all that stuff. So I was thinking that, but I didn't put into account Yusei Kikuchi, who's now in LA with the Angels and partying it up with Yu Darvish, as you probably saw. And
Yeah,
so
that was comical.
that was fun. That was fun. That made me a fan of Yu Kikuchi. Just don't tell Striker Breaks about that, because he hates him.
Oh no.
So yeah, the whole Roki thing is interesting on how we got there. But I would not be surprised, especially with this offseason. I feel like half of the signings have been wrong based on predictions, or if not most of them, except for Juan Soto.
Yeah, we made a prediction video on Spitballin Cards, and I thought Roki might end up with the Cubs for reasons that you kind of mentioned, which doesn't look likely. And I thought Soto would stay in New York with the Yankees.
I was gonna
So
say he kind of did.
yeah, he stayed in the city, just went across town. But they they seem to be really building something, and we know that Steve Cohen will not be held hostage by any sort of financial restraints
Mm-mm.
there. So
No,
I
he has
get it.
no financial restraints, but he also has. I'm wondering when the rest of the ownership's like, whoa, hey, like, chill out, like our profit margins dropping, and they
Yeah,
might pull in the reins on him just because they want to get their kickback with more money going out. The profits are not coming in, which might be the reason why we're seeing a Pete Alonso catastrophe at this point.
yeah. What's he gonna do?
It sounds like they're out on him. Like they're not
Yeah,
going to bring him back, and
yeah.
that's
It sounds
and
like he
that's
wants a really large contract too for what he's done.
and
So I'm
nobody
not
wants
sure where he's gonna end up.
nobody wants to pay it because
Yeah.
it's first base. I don't know what's going on with first base, but what is the most expensive contract this season? I think it would be Santana, and that was 16, and he's 39.
Yeah, that was right.
So that's the most expensive first base contract so far. Oh no, what was no Walker with Houston? What did he sign?
Oh yeah, yeah. What was his deal? You're right. He would definitely
It's like 26 or
26 a
22.
year.
I think it was 2060. Maybe I could look that up. I don't want to be completely wrong. Someone's screaming at the
Three
screen
year,
right now.
3 year, 60 million.
Okay, so yeah,
So
20.
20.
Yeah, 20. So that's the most expensive, but that's
Yeah.
20. That's the most expensive for Christian Walker, who's 34. I think right
Yeah.
now. I really should know this off the top of my head. It's been a while since I did a video. As soon as he went to the Astros as a Marin fan, I was like, nah, no good. Even though I have a signed jersey for Arizona.
Oh, do you? Oh yeah,
Bad
because
idea.
you said you're kind of an Arizona
Yeah,
fan.
yeah, I have because I lived right between San Diego and Phoenix, so it was a 2-hour drive either way. So going to Chase Field, going to Petco Park, it was like a norm for me for 4 or 5 years. And so that's what was really fun about it. And he was, he's one of the greatest. I would say greatest. He's one of the best first basemen in the league currently, especially defensively and his bat mixed together. So overall,
Yeah, he's really shown his stuff.
yeah, which I was a big favor of, and then of course when he signed with the Astros, I'm like, God, man, like, why'd you have to
Meanwhile,
do
the
that?
Brewers are just hoping to wring something out of Rhys Hoskins, who of course opted in because he wasn't going to go anywhere else after his season last year. Yeah,
He didn't seem that like a bad pickup.
I liked the pickup
I
when they
like him.
made it. Not too crazy about his performance last year, though. He
No,
was,
it wasn't great. I think it seemed to fall off as soon as that Jeff McNeil conflict, which was really early in the season. But
yeah, that was pretty
um,
early on to.
yeah, and he kind of, yeah, I get it. I wouldn't say he was terrible, but
I mean,
he's
his counting
definitely.
stats ended up being okay, but yeah, he ended up with a negative BR WAR for the year. So that's just not where you're hoping to get out of one of your primary offensive threats coming into the year.
And that's the thing with B War. It's a little bit lower than F War. I feel like a lot of people go off of F War just because it gives a higher stat. But
Yeah, I prefer B WAR, but it really F WAR really takes into account your defense. So you get those really high shortstop scores on F
yeah,
WAR, like
yeah,
in
if
Miller.
betting. I mean, here's the thing. I'll just say this: for the Mariners, Cal Raleigh was our elite bat, right? He had like 36 home runs or something like
Hmm.
that. He batted a 213 average.
Yeah.
Um, Hoskins batted a 214 average with 26 home runs.
Yeah, but what was
And
Raleigh's OPS plus? He had to have a pretty decent OPS plus. I mean,
um, because
Hopkins was
Hoskins is a
98.
mm,
So Hoskins was below league average,
I thought
which
league
is
average was 711 because he had a
uh,
722 OPS, so
oh
he should
no,
have been.
for OPS plus that which weights it OPS plus takes everything into account.
Yeah.
So the league average is 100. So anything below
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
is
yeah, but it
pretty
should
terrible.
be the addition of on base and slugging, which he had a 722, but I thought 100 being the average was 711, so he would have been 11 or 10 points up, or sorry,
Well,
11 points more.
what OPS plus does though, it takes everything into account where you play, your stadium,
Oh,
your
park factor and
position.
all that stuff.
Yeah. So OPS plus kind of balances out everything for the league because somebody in a smaller stadium might have a higher OPS, but their OPS plus is not great when you really
Well,
would compare it to the league. So OPS plus is the best way to compare, and
it's his worst season in the last 4 years, but he didn't play in 2023. But a 722 OPS plus OPS. I'm okay with that. Like as a for first baseman with the market, it's like third base. Like first base, there's just not a lot of guys. I'm at least star-studded guys. I mean, if you really want to consider Bryce Harper first baseman, I guess now because he's been there long enough. But
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I see a lot of people also complain about like Julio Rodriguez for the Mariners, and the dude batted like a 275. Like, why are we complaining? Because he didn't hit as many home runs as the last 2 years, but he
Yeah, I mean,
batted
he was a
275.
top 10 MVP guy for those 2 years, so everybody's mad about that fall off. But
But that
he
doesn't
still
make
had a
any.
decent year.
Yeah,
No,
I think the expectations are just getting a little ridiculous.
yeah, but for a guy who's a big free agent pickup, like for the Brewers, they can't really afford much. So when they make a big acquisition like Hoskins and he can't even hit league average, that's pretty bad. It's like
Yeah,
bring
yeah.
somebody up from the minors who can
What's
at least
the
hit.
who's in your guys' system for the Brewers as far as first baseman coming up?
That's a good question. They don't have a lot of their top prospects are
Like
Mizorowski
midfield.
pitching and
Okay.
Cuero catching. So I
And Pratt?
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
Pratt for sure.
he's a double A right now. He's not projected till 2027. It looks like
Yeah, those guys are
Cuero's going to
young.
be up
So
this year.
what's that?
It says that Jefferson Cuero, is that how I'm saying it right?
Cuero,
Cuero.
yeah,
Yeah, he's projected for this year, but you guys still have Contreras. So,
yeah. I don't think he'll be up this year. Uh, the Brewers just signed
yeah, Tyler Black, he's number
Alfaro
5.
to a minor league deal too, just like this week. So Jorge Alfaro, another catcher, catching
Yeah.
depth. But I think they're planning to go with Contreras and Eric Haas.
Do you think they're just going to do that one? It's one more year on Hoskins' deal, right? He did a
Yeah,
2-year. Okay.
yeah.
You think that Tyler Black, I mean, since he's the number 5 in the system, I mean, obviously he was already ready. He didn't do great, but
Yeah, I don't know. I think spring training is going to be big for Black because they have that spot at third base, which unless they sign somebody else, looks like Oliver Dunn will probably be there to start out. But
okay.
that's a spot that Tyler Black could take if he would have a big spring. Like you
Yeah,
said, he
hopefully he
didn't
can
do
get some.
great.
Well, he did only have 18 games.
Yeah,
So it's such a small sample size, hard for me to say that because you're not getting enough reps against major league pitching to actually settle in. So yeah, spring would probably be great. Um, I I was pretty high on Black. I don't know. I thought he was pretty good in AAA. I mean,
yeah,
he had
absolutely. And I saw, yeah, I'm definitely not giving up on him. I feel like he could have a big spring and work his way into that lineup. They just don't seem to be making a lot of moves. I thought they would be trying to get another big thumper in that lineup, and so far they just
who's so I'm trying to I should probably pull up the SPO track so I can get an idea of their contracts because Brewers made the move for I would say I guess they made a move for Nestor Cortez. I don't know,
yeah.
man.
We briefly talked about this a little offline. And we'll see how Cortez does. I think he'll throw some innings, he'll eat some innings, but I'm a little more excited about the Caleb Durbin pickup. I think he could play a nice role for the team.
Okay.
He did
And
great in the fall. He stole 29 bags in 26 games in the fall, and
yeah.
he was penciled in as the Yankees' starting second baseman for this year. So it's not like he's just a throwaway.
Well, I also think that second base was a big question mark. I think that was kind of an automatic rule in though for second because they knew they weren't going to keep Torres,
Yeah,
so it was like, well, we're going to pencil him in because nothing's set in stone for who we're going to pick up,
for
and
sure. Yeah, I just mean that he's not.
he's the next best for them at that point.
Yeah,
Although I'm a bit surprised because I figured they would choose like Cabrera or Peraza maybe. to fill in those slots because those guys really haven't been given a chance in New York.
To
And
slide over. Yeah, they must. I don't know. They must know something.
yeah, it's it's been so quiet. That's kind of what I round back to is or circle
Yeah,
back to
exactly.
is like we like Corbin Burns going to Diamondbacks. Cool for me. Nobody was like, yeah, that's gonna happen because the Diamondbacks. Oh my god! Like if I made a video besides the Padres about their money issue, given with the renovations that they need to do at Chase Field, the structural issues. I did a podcast with Aaron Hughes, who is the Sports Illustrated writer for the Diamondbacks, and they are not in the greatest place for money.
Was
And
that interview before the Burns signing,
that was
or was it?
before. That was
Oh,
before. And then well he hopped on. I decided because that took place for you and me. We're on the West Coast. It happened at like 11 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. So I just hopped on and he was just like he woke up because his phone was going off because he's a beat writer. He's gonna get this information out.
yeah.
And he jumped on with me when I was live to kind of talk about it. Of course he's ecstatic, but like nobody expected it because there wasn't 210 million on the table for the Diamondbacks because
I
they
can't believe he got that contract. I mean, good for him. That's
good for, well, I know that he was offered a lot more. Like it was going to be he left 40 mil on the table ish, um, with the East Coast teams. Um,
for more
the
years.
no for the same amount of years. So
Wow.
there was 40 mil on
Shoot.
the table there, but that was from Blue Jays and Orioles, and I think the Orioles are a little bit less. So the Blue Jays were the higher one, and there was
So
a lot of posts that he
he took
made.
less. He took less to go to the Diamondbacks than to stay with the Orioles.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, but he has a house in Scottsdale, and he just had twins. So it's like if I'm going to round out my season, he's 34, 30.
Yeah, round out his careers there,
Yeah,
back at home. Yeah,
back at
I
home.
get it.
His spring training is in Peoria. It's like literally down. Well, I don't know if it might be Glendale. I'm trying to remember which one their stadium is. But nonetheless, 30 minutes from Chase Field, 25 minutes from spring training, and he's home every night and with his kids, with his wife. It's so clear as day when you put in all these factors like, oh yeah, absolutely. And ironically, he's like Pete Alonso. He went to them and said, hey, could you do this? Because I want to be here. And they're like, we can't say no to this, you know. And Ken
Uh,
Kendricks was like, here's the money, you know, like let's hope it's not another Jordan Montgomery. So
wow.
that
Well,
it's interesting.
good for him. I didn't realize it's such a perfect fit family
Yeah,
wise, and I
absolutely.
don't begrudge anyone for doing that. That's great.
Yeah, he in fact, maybe I can I'll show you this. This is kind of interesting. The Diamondbacks posted because he just had his twins. They just got out of the hospital a few days ago, and it showed. Well, he's doing like selfies on the field, saying "I'm happy to be here." All of his signings, but he took a picture with his whole family in front of his locker. So yeah, his
Oh
son.
yeah, what a great
So
shot.
it's like, and he's got, you know, he's just got his own locker. He's got his kids, his wife. They already have their house there. It's like okay, this is a guy who's happy to be where he's at. Like he genuinely is happy to be home. Um, and he's not going to complain about humidity. He's not going to complain about the heat. He's not going to complain about, oh, I didn't like this. My agent screwed this up for me and gets all grumbled. Like nothing against Jordan Montgomery. I don't know the guy personally, obviously, but like the amount of complaints that he put out there and excuses for why he was bad this last season, it's like I don't blame King Kendricks for being like this was a mistake. I shouldn't have paid this much for this guy. That's my bad. It's like by the way, we still have another year with him, so I think this is different.
Yeah,
Um,
it seems different, and yeah, that the 210 million to come home can't be a bad consolation prize.
no, no, no. It's got to be that that's life changing money for anybody. And I understand 40 mil on the table. It's like, okay, what could you do with that? But like, do you need it? Probably not.
No,
Probably not.
I would think at that point you
At that
probably
age,
don't.
that's a time where money is not as important as time.
Yeah.
So, I think we all fall and understand that at a certain age. I'm still in that transition right now. Like I'm still like, it's like make the money so we can go out and do stuff, buy more cards, cards, cards. Which
Well,
makes me ask you because you're more of an expert than I am, and I know you're humble enough. You'll probably be like, well, I'm still learning. I get it, but you know
I
way more than me.
absolutely.
You're the expert here right now
Okay.
to
All right.
everybody. So Corbin Burns, we all know that pitchers, their value. I still don't understand why pitchers don't get the love in the card world. Is it because they don't play every day, or
Maybe that's part of it.
I
Maybe
mean,
especially over the last several years, the amount of pitcher injuries where they're gone for 12 to 18 months has been
you forget about them.
incredibly high on the rise.
Yeah.
I think that's a factor. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to explain. Our friend Teapot on Spitballin Cards loves pitchers, and he's always banging the drum about how he feels pitchers should be more collected.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't collect football, but I know enough about the market to know that there's very few positions of any value in football, especially, I mean, once you get past quarterback. So I think
Hmm.
it's kind of a similar thing with baseball, and pitchers take the fall for that. And you have a few, especially this year, like Paul Skeens, who really got a lot of attention, but his prices still aren't where a typical hitter of his stature would be. So yeah, I don't know. Do you like collecting
So
pitchers? The good thing for people that like collecting pitchers is that they're cheap. They're really inexpensive compared to other players.
true.
So Teapot has his Smoltz collection and his
Mm-hmm.
Tarek Skubal collection, and he's able to add to those with less cost than it would be to add to a Soto or an Acuna or a Judge collection.
But at the same time, like I would, I enjoy watching football, but I have not been really into it ever since the Seahawks kind of, you know, they didn't make those Super Bowl. I just fell out of it. Baseball's always been my thing. I
Yeah.
played it, college, select travel, all that stuff. Like I was really into it. If I just listened to my coaches, I probably would have made it a little bit farther, but I was a bonehead kid. So I look at football. It's like, okay, an offensive lineman, his football card. It's like it's kind of blurred in the mix. Every play, they're blurred in the mix. If they're doing their job, then nobody thinks about them. If they let someone pass them, they get pulled from the game and put somebody else in there who can block. Like, they're not really thought about to where I can understand that being a non-valuable card. I get that. But a pitcher, it's like when they are pitching on the mound, like they have a hand on that ball every single pitch, every single at bat, every single out. And it's up to them to perform in order for the team to have a chance. And I understand that could be the same thing for the O line, but like there's you have multiple guys on that O line, and there's a different guy that's squaring up with them each time, and it's just a matter of their formation. You know what I mean? It just feels like you would
Yeah,
have a
there's
lot more
there's no
focus.
doubt that a pitcher's importance to real baseball is much higher than it is to the hobby.
Mhm.
And the phrase being baseball good versus hobby good comes up a lot.
Yeah.
And you think it's a similar thing with catchers. There's not usually a lot of love for catchers. There's a
Yeah.
few that buck the trend as far as collectability, but
Like Johnny
really not
Bench,
that many. Yeah.
but
Um,
like that's Hall of Fame level.
yes. Yeah. So there's even guys like our guy William Contreras in Milwaukee, who was a top 5 MVP guy.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up one of his gold chrome rookies, gold chrome out of
Nice.
50 for $15. So it's just like
Wait, what
those
year
guys.
was his? What's it?
2021
You
with the
know,
Braves.
do you think that the um the value of that card also plays a role in the sets that they're in? Like not exactly like, you know, Chrome or Heritage I'm going to stick with Tops just because we will get into Panini. We had a long discussion about that before we got on here. But um like the times, like we all know that like 2020, 2021, even 2022, like they don't have much value. And I don't know, maybe it's because a certain someone was on the cover of the box and he's in jail right now pending trial. So,
Yeah, I mean that's true. You get different years. It's always based on the rookie class, right? So that
yeah,
rookie class is not as impressive as it may have seemed at the time. Uh, and everything gets compared to, like, say, a 2018 rookie class where you got Soto and Acuna and Otani,
everyone.
where
Yeah.
we got spoiled with. So yeah, there is something to that about getting lost in a year where there's not good rookies or design issues. Like 2021 is not a great design as far as most Tops fans are concerned. So there
Mhm.
probably is something to that. Yeah.
Even 2022 is like really cheap. Like I occasionally will just grab 2022. Do I have the box here? I had a I had a box of 2022 like update, Chrome update, and it's like $60 for a hobby. I'm just like what you could, I know it's not a lot, but Julio, Bobby Witt, just those two names alone, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Scott from Scotty B bought on Black Friday. Blowout had a special on Heritage High Number, which is kind of like the Heritage version of Update, and he bought
Mhm.
a case for, I think, like under $500, and he got opened all the boxes. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's some products and years that aren't gravitated to by the hobby. And I don't know, maybe if you think he bought that case, what Bobby Witt card could he have gotten for the same amount of money? Would he have rather had that? In the end, afterwards, I think so. But
Yeah,
opening packs today just kind of has to be looked at as more of an entertainment expense because you're not going to get your money back. So it's a different
100%,
thing than it was.
which makes it interesting because I don't normally do this, but oh, not this one. This is something different. I occasionally will go on eBay and
Hmm.
that's my casino, and I'll buy into breaks. And I know that's like a big no-no. Like you
Well,
shouldn't do that. You're probably going to lose your money. But there's like that chance, right? Like
there's a chance. It's like a lottery ticket. So yeah,
yeah.
the same. It has the same
And I
dopamine rush that you can get.
and my and of course this is how they get you. And it's all luck. It's not like it was like a gotcha game, good for you. They know this is your first break you're buying into. But the first break I ever bought into um was for Bowman draft 2023. I believe it's
Okay.
2023. Um, and I'm gonna completely mess up his name, and people, you can judge me in the comments all you want. But the Bowman first for the New York Yankees prospect, is it Bernard Jr.? Am I saying that right? I'm not looking at his card right now. Um,
I couldn't tell you.
he's like one of their top prospects, along with Jason Dominguez. He's not ready to come up to the bigs anytime soon. I think he has a couple more years. But I got his red to 5,
Ooh,
one Bowman first. It was 1 out of 5
yeah,
uh, signed card, and I spent like $20
it's a great card.
like on the break, and I know that card. Like I obviously there's no one that's sold one yet, so I don't know the value, but obviously that's going to, if you get the Bowman first of a top prospect, and especially a pinstripe prospect,
Hmm.
like there you go, you won some money back. And I'm going to, I have it packed up so I can send it to PSA, but like that's that dopamine rush. And
Well, congrats on that hit. Yeah, what a hit.
yeah,
Are you gonna? The question now is, are you going to sell it when you get it back from PSA? Or are you gonna hold it to see how he does?
I don't know, because it's like that's the part of the game where it's like,
Yeah,
do I sell it? Do I have any sentimental value in this guy? No. Do I know who he is? I know of him. Obviously I can't
yeah,
even say his name right. I'm messing that up, but
right.
um
And so 95% of the time, the move would be to sell it as soon as
exactly.
possible.
Exactly. And
So,
then it's like, oh, but what are you gonna do with that money when you sell it? And when you sell it, because he could get traded, it gets traded to like the Rockies
yeah.
for or circling back to Roki, gets traded to the Padres um or the I don't know. I want to say the Dodgers, but because the Dodgers are looking right now and calling people up to trade away players and comp money so they can get, or not comp money, but international funds, pool money for this year so they can offer more to Roki. And so he could be bundled with that, with the return. They're like, hey, if the Dodgers are like, hey, we want you to give us all of your international pool money. And so what, 6 mil, 8 mil, I don't know where they're at. But the Yankees were like, okay, well, we want Pi Hayes, we want Outman, and we want one of your top prospect pitchers. And they have a large pool of prospects. So they're like, okay, well, we're going to need something in return. So they give him up. You know what I mean? Like he could trade to a different team, whether or not that increases value or decreases value. Maybe the Blue Jays do that. And the Blue Jays are desperate to get anybody to sign there right this year.
Yeah.
That could kill his value. So I'm like, I have no idea what to do with it when I get back. And also, it depends what PSA grades it. If they come back and they're saying it's a 6, I'm like,
well, that's true. Well, it probably won't be a 6 unless you can notice something bad with it. But the good thing with those reds is that they're so rare that the grade shouldn't affect the value as much.
Yeah. It's so I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm definitely going to get it graded though, because there's no reason to keep that card raw. It doesn't make any sense. I pulled it from the pack, put it in a 1-touch, and that's that. It hasn't been messed with or anything. So when I take it out and put it into a semi-ridge, I'll make sure I clean it off, get all the fingerprints and stuff.
Yeah,
but
there's any fingerprints for sure.
But and I don't know if it's OC. I haven't checked. OC off center for people who are new to this. But I've bought into a few things, and it's like I'm interested in. Have you ever bought into breaks?
Oh, that's how I got started. That's how I got started back. I bought into a ton of breaks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I kind of lost track of where I'm going with this, but the idea is I wanted, return. Like buying wax, you never know. It's like a lottery ticket. So breaks to me was like a lottery ticket. And I actually wrote down this. I wanted to do a little thing with you, a little study, a little idea, just to kind of give people an idea. Because this is blind. This is sealed, right? I haven't opened this yet. I saved and recorded exactly what I spent on each team. I bought this from Fish and Wax, and I know they're down in Florida when they do the breaks. I didn't watch the break, so I have no idea what the cards are in here. I will circle back because I want to make sure I got all my cards. But, I wanted to just kind of give an example because I feel like people don't know if they got their money back. So, I mean, throughout we do this, I can kind of open it and see what we got. But I figured that'd be kind of interesting. And it's for Topps Chrome Update. So, it's
Great.
It's a very expensive. What's that?
How many teams?
I got the Texas Rangers, the Cincinnati Reds, the Minnesota Twins, the Mets, the Giants, Blue Jays, Cubs, Brewers. So Brewers. So
oh my gosh, did you get all the teams? Was it just you and somebody else in this break?
No, I went after the ones that I knew had value. So like the Reds was a big one, the Mets was a big one for me. And then the Rangers, because I was hoping for Wyatt Langford, cards. And then the rest of them were just for, well, of course, Cheerio for the Brewers. Yeah. But the other ones were just like, they're sitting at $2, like 1 bid in or 2 bids in. So it's like, whatever. I'll just throw.
So how big was the break? Was it a case?
No. That's the reason why I was like cutting myself off at a certain price, because I know how many cards are coming in there. It was only 5 mega boxes. So what's that like? That's like 3/8 of a case, right? Something like that. How many? Or
I don't know how many mega boxes are come in a case.
Maybe there's 10 of them in there or something like that. So maybe like half a case.
So mega box, there's not that many cards.
No, there's not. So I didn't want to go too crazy with it. But like, for example, the Twins, Mets, Giants, Blue Jays, those all were right in the range of $6. And of course, when when you buy in breaks, you might as well get more than one team. That way they consolidate the shipping. Otherwise, you're paying $7 for one team. It's like, all right, what's the point of this? Yeah. But like the Rangers, $20. The Cubs was $15. Your Brewers were 32. That's when you get stuck in. You're like, no, I got to get this one. It's like I wanted to get one big team with a big name. And then the Reds. Oh, Reds 37, so it was higher, but that's for the LE one, and they have a lot of good players in their team. So, and the checklist I know for the Reds is relatively large. So I was like one of those things where it's like I want to see what the value is when it comes out of it, but I don't know. So I'm kind of curious. But this is kind of one of those live things where it's like you're probably gonna lose. You're probably gonna lose.
You're probably gonna lose, but maybe you got a rare curio.
Parallel. Yeah, I definitely didn't get. It's crazy though, and the reason why it's valuable. And you and I both have 3 mega boxes of this Topps Chrome Update 2024, and I think you and everybody on Spitballin Cards said that you would be probably just selling, right? The box.
Well, I think that it was agreed. If we had a hobby box, we'd be selling. The mega box, they're a little cheaper into it and not as big of a return. So some of us opened it. In fact, I opened one on our live show.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Week. Yeah.
And how did that go?
Absolutely nothing. Probably got $1 worth of cards. So.
Oof. Okay. So I guess we'll see. I'll just start with, because I like how I appreciate, by the way, if you do breaks, I appreciate it when you separate the cards, put them in their own little like team sleeves. So I will say that. But okay, so the Twins, this is be kind of fun. The Twins, $850. That's how much you paid. So first little bundle team sleeve. I'm probably gonna get nothing because there's not normally if it's a decent card they'll put it in a top loader.
Yeah.
So Twins probably got nothing.
Some Twins base cards in there.
Yeah. So I wish I had a different camera here, but at least they put them in order. I got three of the Woods Richardson, which isn't anything special.
Mm-hmm.
Pitcher worth nothing, right?
Yeah.
All right. So far we have nothing, and then we have Austin Martin, so a rookie and an X-Fractor and a Ray Wave, probably 50 cents right there.
Yeah. When I opened the box, I didn't realize that you get an X-Fractor in every pack.
Yeah. So at least you get, and that's the thing though.
It used to be more rare. Now you get a lot of them. So
exactly, which seems like it seems like a deal killer, when you're getting that print run so high, it's like, what's the point of that?
Right.
Let me see if I can feel one that's in here that actually, because I won't do them all, but maybe there's one in here that is in a top loader.
Your Cheerio auto, probably.
Well, let's go to the Brewers because you're here, so make it special. It does have a couple top loaders in here.
A couple top loaders. What could it be?
I like to think that they know what they're opening, so we'll see. This is always interesting. Maybe it'll be your guy. I don't even know how to say his name, but he's with the Rockies now, so I guess. But he'd still be Brewers, right?
Keston Hiura?
Keston Hiura, yeah.
Oh yeah, I love me some Keston. He's going to be hitting some bombs in Coors Field.
I'll have you be the one to watch it. I don't know if I can turn my lights.
Okay, yeah. See. Is that
Oops.
Is that Pagero?
Yeah. So
I see the blue glove.
Yeah. So Pagero, a little bit of a bath.
It's a Gatorade bath. Is that I can't?
It looks like a refract.
It is.
No, it's a prism. Sorry, prism.
Prism refractor.
I wish it would. Okay, don't have to do this. There we go. So Gatorade bath. Tyler Black, like we were mentioning earlier.
Yep.
So Sal Frelick looks like X-Fractor. Yeah, X-Fractor.
Some shine to it.
Some. All right. So Myers.
That's your guys. Oh, Tobias Myers. Yeah.
Tobias Myers. Yeah.
Surprise last year.
All right. And then, come on.
Is that some kind of insert?
Oh
no, it was just tilted. I saw.
I think it's just tilted, but we have All-Star game. Hey, Contreras, there you go.
Yeah, there's William Contreras, and I think all those All-Star Game ones are refractors.
They're all refractors. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
tell from the glow there. And then, all right, another Prism done. So your guy
Oh,
probably pick for first,
Oliver
back and
Dunn.
forth. Oliver Dunn. Oh,
Yeah, he'll
and
be
then, well, you're right, but I don't think it's anything special. A
Churio
little
Auto.
Cheerio. Nah, I wish. So
That's
just
got some shine to it. What is that? Is that the 89?
it's the
That's the 89
89.
tops.
Yeah, just 89 tops rookie with Cheerio. So at least I got a Cheerio out of it,
Yeah, you got a Churio out of it. I love those uniforms that they got on too.
but nothing, you know, nothing
No,
worth $32. So
no,
that's my
no.
perfect example of like it's a lottery ticket. You never know what you're gonna get, but most of the time it's not gonna be anything
Most of
good.
the time you don't, but some people enjoy watching the breaks. So it's like, well, do you spend money to go to a movie, or do you want to spend money watching a break? It's just kind of the same thing. After the movie, you're not going to have anything to take home except the memories of the movie. So
That's a
uh,
great excuse to spend money on breaks.
it's got to be looked at as an entertainment cost rather than any sort of investment, as it were.
Yeah,
And which was a lot easier to do even just a couple of years ago when boxes were $40 or $50. Now,
a lot more
on
reasonable.
Spitballin, we talked about Bowman's Best, which was one of the first products I opened when I got back into the hobby in 2017, because Bowman's Best, the checklist is all players you know or you would have heard of. So it's a
Yeah,
fun product to open. But now it's $400 for a box. $400 for a box. And chances are you're not going to get anywhere close to that back. So that's a pretty big entertainment cost for most of
that's
us.
not it's not worth it. And it's like the problem is that people are still gonna buy it that are like serious about it because there's a lot of people with extra money and this is like their hobby and that's what they're gonna put money into. So it's not gonna really slow it down much.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, the
Yeah,
prices have really it really went up over the past couple of years, and you're right. So far, it hasn't slowed down much at all. This year's Bowman Draft was the most expensive it's ever been, and that's been sitting around a little bit. So
but that's been it has been spitting around. Also, the new release um of Topps Update just came out the pre-order. So or sorry, not Topps Series 1 2025. Sorry.
yes,
My bad.
yes, which we did a preview of 2025 Series One comes out in about 4 weeks now.
Yes, and you guys were talking about the blacks not being in there anymore. They're kind of changing the
Yeah,
way that they're directing this, which it is I that was a good episode. If you guys would like to, please, if you're interested in this card game, you want to talk to more experts, people that actually know this game pretty well, and they had a pretty heated debate about this as far as the new 2025 flagship. Links are down in the description for the Spitballin Cards, and I'll actually try and insert. I'll try to remember to put the insert for the exact video going over that because. I was speculative about purchasing this, and you and I talked about it. And ironically, it's still available on Tops.
still
Normally,
sitting there.
it
Yeah,
gets like I was about to buy some yesterday. It's officially out of stock for the jumbo, which was like it was at 180. So remember that. I hate it when they say out of stock and they don't show the price anymore. Obviously, it's for people to resell and they can just
yeah,
assume what the
bump it
market
up.
value is. But it was 180, 179, and the you can get a hobby plus a value box, which is ironic. They don't sell any blasters, so they give you a hobby and then they give you a blaster box. I don't know why they're calling it a value box. It's a blaster for 109. So it's like $20 really you're spending for a blaster. I don't know what they're going to sell it for at Walmart and Target. It
Yeah, and I
shouldn't
don't
be
know. Sometimes
more than
they
20.
do. They have different names. I mean, that might be a hanger too, rather than a blaster. I don't know what you're getting in the value. It might not be the same as the typical blaster box that you'd buy.
Well, I figure with this picture here that it's going to be a blaster box because like normally you'd see the little hinge for the hanger, but
Yeah,
if it's a hanger, that's misrepresentation for people who know what they're buying. You know what
I
I mean?
don't know what value box really means these days. That's kind of
Okay.
a new term that they've thrown in there.
So I'm debating. It's like, okay, should I get a hobby box for $90 because you know this stuff is going to go up in price after, even though this is flagship. Like right now, pre-orders on Steel City I think are 125 for a hobby for pre-order, and it's like you can get it from Tops right now for 90. So
Yes.
is that the idea of if you're going to buy wax, like are they setting the price point when they sell out for what it's actually going to be worth? And if that's the case, buy this wait till it sells out, sell it for 120. You know what I mean? Like,
Maybe, but there
wouldn't
are
that
a
be the
couple
flip?
issues with that. There have been some products that come back down
Okay.
lately, and it's not like a few years ago where everything you bought went up and up and up. And that's one thing. And then the other thing is by the time if you sell it, say on eBay, by the time you take out the cost of shipping, which is a pain to ship wax boxes, cost of shipping plus fees, you're not going to be making much at all. So unless you feel like it's going to double in price or make it worth your while to resell, it's probably not a sound investment.
So dropping in price like this stuff, $475 now for a jumbo
Yeah.
draft, which is insane because it's like the opposite of what we saw last season with the Skeens release, the 2023 Bowman draft, which is now like it's still over 1,000 for
It
this.
had the Skeens, and the other big chase was the Tom Brady
Yeah,
autos. I don't know if you've talked about that. So the chase they put in this is John Elway
yeah.
Yankees autos, which doesn't have the same pull as Tom Brady for sure.
Well, and also like who's your big name for like Caglione, and
Yep.
he's questionable.
Yeah. Caglione. And hitters usually do better than pitchers, but Skeens and that product sat around for a while at
Mm-hmm.
the price and even went down a little bit before Skeens came up and did what he did.
Because this is the lowest it's ever. This is less than what they sold it for when it came out. Like this is lower
Yeah.
than the price that I saw. So it's like, all right, because my whole idea was do my MVP buybacks and then go get myself some draft because I was like, okay, I really would like to really get into the Bowman first, and the draft is the place to get it, especially if I
Yeah.
want to get non-international signings.
Yes.
And this is just kind of it's like, oh well, this is not the year for it. So I have like $400 sitting in Steel City. I'm like, all right, so do I wait? And I haven't watched your guys' video when it comes to Bowman's Best, but from the thumbnail, it's like, all right, maybe I should take a break, take a step back, and
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, you
because of the
should
price.
definitely watch that video before you buy if you're
And
considering
I would say
purchasing
other
that.
people should do that too. So I'll also put that link down below because I'll watch it after this. But it's like I don't know anymore. Like, are we buying wax to just hold on for the value to go up and then sell it, or are you really ripping and trying to find that card? Because I feel like it's just not a good idea anymore, just because the print runs are so high. And I wanted to bring this up as well with the guy that you like that's now with Colorado. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting his name.
Oh, Keston Hira. Yeah, one
Keston
of my
Huron.
favorite former Brewers. Yeah.
So this, like, they didn't make a card for him last year, right? He was in was he in the minors?
Yeah, because he started the year in the minors with Detroit,
Okay.
ended up getting released and caught on with the Angels, dominated the minors, which he's done his whole career, got brought up and didn't do so well with the Angels, and eventually was let go. And yes, he just signed with the Rockies. But it's players like that aren't going to have a lot of cards.
Yeah. And
If he
wouldn't
catches on with the Rockies, maybe he'll get a card in update.
wouldn't it be I don't know the marketing standpoint of this, but and of course it would be more work to put in for the graphic designers and stuff, but I'm pretty sure they have the money to hire them and like create this and everything. But wouldn't it be fun? At least I think it would be fun. Is if not if the print runs were higher, but if you kept the print runs the same, which means value, they load the box, people feel like they're getting more out of their purchases. But if it included more players, like the entire teams that are playing throughout the season, like whoever's on the roster for that team has a card. Like that's a lot of players, but you keep the print run the same, and all of a sudden the value for those cards go up, and you don't get duplicates of the same guys in the same packs or different packs in the same box or the same signatures in the same
Yeah,
case.
it's just a cost issue because when you're breaking it down, that let's say that would be maybe 3,000 cards instead of 900 or whatever ends up being with all the Series 1, Series 2, and update.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to pay for all those pictures, all those photographs that they're going to use. They've got to design all those individual cards.
But
They've got to
at this
set up the
point,
printers in a different way. So
wouldn't the isn't the
Fanatics is all about the bottom line. And if they can sell the way they're doing it, which obviously they are, they're making the odds even harder to pull anything good out of these 2025 Series 1. It would be a non-starter, I think, to up their costs.
I feel like this is almost like an ownership view of the team of spending money on players. It's like if you went that route, then you would get the sales numbers up the way they were before when anybody could afford this stuff. And yeah, you're paying a little bit more into getting more pictures, which I understand the pictures are going to be expensive. At this point, though, I'm pretty sure because I've talked to the Mariners organization about taking photos for them, like pro bono. I just wanted, because I like photography. That's one of my hobbies that I'm into. Obviously, I have a few cameras. I do video production, all that stuff. And there's no reason why Topps can't reach out to all these teams. Sorry about that. And they have their own photographer for every team. And they're the ones out there getting the photos to where they have ownership of the photos. They just share the revenue with MLB, which they're already in contract with. They're already making money together. So I'm pretty sure they could hash that out. That doesn't make sense to me why they have to go to Getty, pay for all these photos, and then make that overhead.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know.
So
I don't know why they
that just
go that
seems to
route.
me like a like an easy route to go. And then when people are chasing cards, it's like not everybody's favorite player is Corbin Carroll. Not everybody's favorite player is Ketel Marte. You know, some people are like, I absolutely love Perdomo, even though he didn't play the first half of the season due to injury. But you have a card of him. You know, it doesn't even have to be. And I know Ty would yell at me, and I would understand. Maybe that photography is not great because he's just sitting in the dugout looking. Well, guess what? It's because he was injured. But hey, at least you have your player. You know, that kind of deal. Granted, don't make every card you make of them at a press conference holding a microphone like Yamamoto.
Right. Yeah.
So, like that to me seems like a better option to bring more people in, and then the value of those individual cards that you're chasing goes up because there's less of the print run of that specific card. And I think you mentioned it, like it'd be great if the numbered cards kind of stopped at $4.99, like out of $7.99 out of 1,000. It's like, what's the point? Maybe it's you or Filmington, I'm not sure.
Yeah, or I think Chris made that point too. Yeah,
Or
at some
Chris
point
did
when
too.
you're numbering, what's it going to matter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They're still trying to figure out how they're going to streamline these sets, and that's what we were talking about uh, with the black parallel, or make some consistency, and especially once they officially have the NBA and NFL licenses, and they really start ramping up production on that. They want there to be some continuity and cohesion between all the sports. So if you pull up a gold card in an NBA product, it's going to be out of 50. If you pull
Yeah.
it in a baseball product, it's going to be out of 50. So I get where they're going with this, and it
And
makes a
that
lot of sense.
bridges.
They just can't completely alienate the historical significance of some of the parallels, which, so I think that's what they're trying to balance, because it is a for-profit company. Fanatics
Yeah.
paid a lot of money to obtain Topps and all of these licenses for these leagues. So I know they want to get that money back. So they're just trying
Just
to
so
put
they
on a
can
balancing
ruin.
act.
Yeah, just so they can ruin uniforms.
Yeah.
That was and I guess
Yeah, they
supposedly they're
just
gonna fix that, but
released the Topps Chrome football, I believe. Topps Chrome football pre-order.
okay.
But it's like Panini. It has no logos on. It just looks like they're wearing pajamas. So yeah, I'm not sure
Fake,
who's buying that.
fake relics.
Probably fake relics. Well, I mean,
Yeah, this is an off-topic, off-camera topic. We've been talking about this for what, 2 weeks now, something like that.
yeah.
Before you came on, the Panini relics that you're opening, maybe some are, but some are not game worn by the player that's actually on the card.
Right. Well, as we talked about, most aren't game worn, but some
No,
at least claim to be player worn,
player worn. Yeah,
or of that player. And then, yeah, people are taking apart all of these Panini patches and looking at the back and has somebody else's name on it. It's, yeah.
Which just seems like a terrible idea to even put the player's name on the back of these patches, these
it
swatches.
makes you wonder about their whole process. Yeah,
Like, why are we naming it on the back if you know you're gonna put it into just a random card? It's
right.
like, oh, you might get a card with the actual player who wore it, which is fine with me. It's not as great as game use, obviously, but
Yeah,
like if you're if you're just gonna throw them in there and your expectation is like, oh well, they're not gonna ruin the card so they can see.
nobody's gonna ever look. Yeah, I don't know quite the strategy meeting that happened behind that decision.
Well,
I
Panini's
don't
like,
get
we're
it.
not licensed, screw it, do whatever makes us money, I guess, because they're
Yeah,
still selling their hobbies for 125, which is
for
yeah
baseball.
for baseball, and it's like I don't know if I would. That's still a lot for an unlicensed product, so I mean that's why we look
Yeah,
at
if you
tops and
look,
everything.
the resale value just isn't there.
No,
So I don't know what they're gonna do if Panini is gonna continue to make NBA products. Um,
are they? They're still the holder
I
for
guess
them.
they're gonna lose both the league license and the players association license. So
Oh wow,
they won't really be able to make anything.
is that the reason
Once
why
that happens.
that? Oh wait, but isn't okay? I think I saw in your guys' video something about Tops is like making 20, and you mentioned this about tennis, which I didn't know you knew much about tennis cards, but they're
Oh,
making
I
a
don't.
product that is for 2023, 2024, just to make more rookie cards for a specific player. I am not a basketball follower, so I do not know. Wembanyama, is that his name?
Yeah. Yes,
Um,
he's all the rage, Victor Wembanyama.
just to make more rookie cards of him, and it's 2025. You're like, what?
Yeah, well, they're behind schedule. They're still releasing. We're still going to get 2024 baseball products, as we
Yeah,
found out, or it seems to be pretty confirmed that despite our initial uh, apprehensiveness about Topps Heritage High number coming out because we hadn't heard about it, and it usually comes out in December. It is going to be coming out, so
it
we're going to
is.
get those. We're going to get those Churio, Jackson Merrill, Paul Skeens red ink autos, which is great. Yes, Topps just needs to do a better job of communicating that to the environment, the
They don't say
community,
anything.
the hobby.
Yeah.
And apparently, we're getting that in late March, and then followed quickly by the 2025 Heritage in April.
So at that
Yeah.
point, you ask the question like, is it just a quick turnover for you buy the 2024 and then you just buy the 2025 hoping that like how are they going to have they're not going to have the rookies, right? Or is 2025 going to have the rookies because that's a early
Well,
release? What's the point?
2025 will have some of the key rookies like James Wood will be in there and Dylan Cruz probably, which is
Okay.
just like Series 1.
Yeah.
I'll have those guys.
And at that point, which one do you think is a more valuable product, this the flagship or the actual heritage?
Oh boy, since Flagship is getting rid of their black parallel, which is a big selling point for me,
Yeah.
um, I'd still would probably say go with Flagship. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with the heritage parallels because those numbers don't typically line up with the other products. In fact, a heritage gold is out of 5, and it's one of the more rare cards you can get in the hobby.
You know,
Are they going to change that to out of 50?
I
Then
like
that'll
that
change
though.
the.
You
Hmm?
know, I like that though. Like to me, like when you think of gold, you think of like this is the gold. This is the one to chase, and it's always been out of 50. And I've become accustomed to that, obviously. But
Yeah.
like like red being out of 5, it's like okay, I'm accustomed to it. But to me, it's like red, like wow. Or as you say, gold, and people are like gold, like
Well,
the
and the
gold
the
is
thing
the
is, in basketball cards and football cards, Panini over the last decade, the all the rage in say NBA cards is the gold, Panini Gold, and it's out of 10. So if you get
yeah.
a Giannis Gold rookie out of 10, that's it. And I think uh, fanatics and tops are looking at it like, what can we make that's sought after like that? What can we do? And so far, it seems like they're going for their black parallels or black foils and numbering that to 10 and making that the
Hmm.
choice card.
Yeah, and I wonder who's stealing from who because it's like, are we really going after like doing what Panini's doing? Is that a good thing? for the hobby because I mean, I don't think it is. I think you should be different, set the standard instead of do what Panini is doing, and that makes me worry about relics, which we don't see a lot of relics anymore unless you get like triple threads or
Well, they get a lot
five
of
cards.
Relics products. Yeah, you got triple threads, you got definitive, you've got dynasty,
And those are
diamond
all high
icons.
roller boxes, though. Like you're
Yeah,
spending $700, $800. I'm not spending that much on a box. Like
no,
I just
no,
can't
no.
justify it.
What we get in the Tops box for Relics are usually either manufactured relics, which are
Yeah,
pointless. I don't know why
yeah,
they do that,
yeah. Here's a
or
pen.
just a napkin patch where you just get a little.
Well, hey, if you want to throw in the first check of Babe Ruth in there, that's fine. That's paper relic. I'll take that. But
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
No,
I'm
stuff
pretty
like
sure
that.
that's
Yeah,
in Baltimore.
that's you're gonna have to get a Babe Ruth cut auto. You're gonna have to spend like 25 grand and open some Transcendence or something.
There's some crazy boxes out there all to just not really know what you're getting inside of there. And then I guess the one advice I would give to people if you're buying wax, buy from if you're gonna buy not wax, but buying breaks is buy from those that are like big names that are pulling big stuff all the time because it's not I'm not saying that they're just getting exclusive stuff like the hot boxes all the time, but they're very commonly posting one of one superfractors, MLB rookie day one or pro debut
Yeah.
patches. They are getting those often, whether it's them buying a lot of product or it's
That's one of the
them.
great conspiracy theories in the hobby, and Teapot did a deep dive into that, where he actually did some math on the statistical probability of some of these breakers getting those cards, and the odds are astronomically against it. So he wasn't saying anything either specifically, but mathematically, it's impossible that some of these breakers continue to get what they're getting. So
Constantly, unless they
yeah,
are buying a million boxes and there's 1,700,000 that are made.
and now that
It
we are hearing about some of these higher end ones like Dynasty being able to be CT scanned, that makes a big difference as well. So
Yeah,
you know exactly what
that's
you're
a
getting.
big one right there. Is
Yeah.
just, I mean, granted, if you have a CT scanner, like you have a lot of extra money in your hands.
But there's companies that do it. There's companies that do it that you can send your boxes and packs in. So yeah, it's
Even that seems like an expensive way because they want like $60 to do it or something like
mhm.
that, which is like, okay, you're buying a box for let's say 120 for the
Oh, it doesn't happen for this lower end stuff, but if you've got a box of say 90s basketball that's like a $20,000 box because of what it might have a PMG in there.
worth it
Well, then you could get it CAT scanned and find out that it doesn't have it.
and sell it
Yes,
and get
and
your money
sell it
back.
for huge profit. So yes, it's a very ethically murky business to be in to
Can
run
they
a CAT.
still do that stuff with like Topps Chrome and because it's like you're scanning through
Yeah, and the
foil at that
scanners are
point, but it's
getting
all
better and better as far
okay.
as what they can do. They were even saying vintage was safe, but I've seen some pictures and videos of them doing it even with 86 Fleer boxes and knowing, so you know where your Jordans are
What's in
and what.
there?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, to teach their own, whether I agree with it or not, I guess that's an option for people if they're willing to spend that money and they'll flip stuff. But at the same time, more reason not to buy wax from
exactly.
individual people.
Yeah.
I did with my my Topps Chrome update, but I also got it relatively cheap at the very beginning. So I don't know if they would have
Yeah, and
time.
that stuff. I mean, I just don't think it'd be the cost benefit for anybody to be CT scanning that stuff. As you mentioned, it is pretty
Yeah.
expensive. So I think as long as we're just buying Stadium Club boxes or Top Series 1 boxes or update, that there's just you're pretty safe buying that kind of stuff. But if you get into some of those high-end products, especially if they only have one or two card, like Dynasty, I think it's $700 for a card
I
or a couple cards. Those
I
would be easy to scan, and
did
I
those
would stay away
sell
from them.
out? Like, what's the print run on those?
Yeah, they sell out. They sell out. They're all low numbered. They're low numbered
Yeah,
autographs.
like what to 10,
Yeah, but they might
something like
have
that.
several designs of a player to 10. So you might have 8 versions of
Of that to
Juan
10.
Soto autos. Yes. So it's
Well,
like
one Soto auto
80
is not
cards.
bad. Oh, you know what? Speaking of one Soto, I might as well do this with you,
Hmm.
and we could talk about something else. Um, This is the and it's not worth anything, but I decided to jump on it because it's history. I do like historical moments. I do like certain
Yeah.
times of Tops Now. This is a Tops Now, but this is Juan Soto
Mm.
signing. So might as well see if we got anything out of the 5
Yeah, you
cards
might
that
have
I
got a
ordered.
parallel in there.
Let's see. They're not cheap, so. But I've only gotten a few like Tops Now. Like I did the Skeens one, and then I did the
I did the Otani 50-50 one. Just took a flyer to see if I could get the auto. Didn't get it.
Did you got the boxes though, right?
I got the boxes too. Yeah. So I don't
Okay.
know what I'm going to do with those.
I got a pack, which is probably a bad idea, but that was before all the CT scan stuff I knew about. Like that, I did the pre-order on it. It was online because they sold out, of course. But this will be interesting. So I don't know which way. Okay, at least they cover it so you can't see on either
Ooh,
side.
yeah.
But
What do you got in there?
okay, so the tops are up here. So all right, this is interesting. This is always like okay, a Juan Soto something because I bought a couple. I bought in because money doesn't grow on trees.
It
I've
doesn't?
only purchased in LA. I know it does, but it might be. I was gonna make a
Yeah.
joke. I shouldn't say
Orange
that.
trees.
Yeah. They're money goes up in flames and same. Got my joke. Yeah, I know that was bad. It's too soon. But I've only gotten a hanger box and a blaster box of 2018 update. So opening those, it's like, oh my god, like am I gonna get the rookie Soto? Can I get the bat on shoulder Otani? Can I get the
Have you opened those?
yes, I did.
Oh.
And I did get I got 4 of the Soto, like just obviously base tops, nothing, but 4 of the Soto. I got a image variation of Ronald Acuna.
Wow.
And then I got
Really?
two pitching Otanis. So I
Awesome.
considered it a win. Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Huge.
So I'll send those off. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I definitely don't like touching these. So I don't know. We'll see. All for you. You can enjoy this with me.
What do we got? Is it going to be an auto?
No.
No, but it looks nice.
Yeah, it's not bad, right? That's
You get the big
everything's
Mets
backward.
logo in the back.
Yeah, that Photoshop jersey.
Yeah, of course.
Not a
No parallel, no auto.
oh jeez. Come on,
What'd
camera.
you
My
get? Did
two
you get a 5-pack?
Yeah, I got a 5-pack. Oh jeez, there we go. Why is this want to focus on me so bad? It's that.
Wants to
There we
focus
go.
on your hand. There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it really likes you. All right, so we got one more.
One more.
Or
Let's see it.
two more.
Oh, okay. See a little color? No.
No.
Nada.
And then last nothing. That's what happens.
But it's the excitement of doing it, right?
It's the excitement of doing something, but like at least I got 5 of them. So if anybody's interested, Mets fans and stuff, I can keep one for me, because it's a moment. But I got 5 others that are kind of an option. It would be really cool, even not an auto, but just get a numbered parallel would be even better. I
It'd
just
be
wonder
really
if
cool. Yeah.
there's any insight as to like. I mean, obviously probability goes up, but like if you get like the 10-pack, you get like I think they have a 30, right? It's like $100 and some odd dollars.
Yeah. I don't
So-
know if it does or not. I thought it did when the Otani one, I got the 10-pack. Because you can also use your Topps points if you buy stuff off the Topps website. So I used a $40 thing towards that and was hoping that it would give me some better odds. But when they're printing that many, it's hard to get any.
Yeah, and especially when they know a lot of people are going to be wanting to buy it. Although they only sell it for 24 hours, 48 hours, 24 hours, something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is. It's a very short period of time.
It's very quick. So again, you never know what you're going to get in these packs and everything. But I wanted to touch on your Brewers. How did you feel about Nestor Cortez? And I know you mentioned you like Durbin.
I like Durbin. I like the Durbin pickup.
But with
Cortez,
losing Williams, is that worth it?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
huge. You're not big on Williams. Is that because of the playoff tipping pitches?
Rough playoffs. Yeah. I'm just not a big fan of paying a lot for closers. I just don't think it's worth it. We saw all the main closers get blown up this year's playoffs. Class A gave so many more runs than he did in the entire regular season. And look at who finished the World Series. Not a
Yeah.
closer, an injured pitcher with a 5 ERA closed it out for the Dodgers and Walker Buehler. So no, I'm glad that they did not pay. Their bullpen was a strength last year,
Hmm.
especially without Devin Williams before he came back. They've got a lot of strong arms in there, so I do not mind that move at all. I knew they weren't going to sign him long term, which I wouldn't want them to.
He only had 1 year left, anyways. But for
Yeah,
8.6 mil, it's not terrible for a closer of his caliber.
yeah. I mean, I think the whole plan coming into 2024 was him as a trade chip. They're gonna trade him by July, and then somebody would get a year plus out of him. They'd get a good return, but they didn't think they were going to be that competitive. And come July, the Brewers were right in the thick of it, and Williams got hurt. So those two things combined to make that not possible. Yeah, I don't mind them not having him this year. And Cortez, I hope he gets over giving up that World Series Grand Slam, that doesn't stick with him. But you've seen that happen sometimes, so I know it's a possibility. But I feel like he could eat some innings, and they're not expecting him to be an ace. Maybe slot him in the 4 spot, especially since we don't know about Brandon Woodruff and
Is he
how
going to
he'll be. So,
come back in like March or May? Because
yeah,
he had.
we're still not getting a lot of word about it. He's looking good, but I'm not really expecting him back until May. So
Mhm.
hopefully that's the case. It's been a long time now that he's been out, so I expect him to be there for most of the season.
I do like this new setup for the pitchers on Savant is showing their average arm angle and
Oh,
where it
that's
comes.
interesting. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. So you hover over the arm angle and then you're able to see um, the trajectory of where it comes in based on your diagram. So that's pretty cool.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I'm gonna have to
based on where
look
they
around there.
so so that's pretty cool to see there. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he didn't have the greatest year, obviously, but maybe he'll do better in Milwaukee. Maybe he'll grow out a beard. I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, see him with some facial hair.
Yeah, and then you see Devin Williams without any facial hairs. I'm going to be honest with
It
you. I'd
looks
be
different for
surprised if they.
sure. It looks different on Devin Williams.
I don't. Have you seen pictures of him? Have they made him
I
shave?
saw a picture. I don't know if it was just a mock-up or if it was an old picture before he had the facial hair, but they put him in a Yankees uniform. It was
You
not
know
as
what? Actually,
intimidating. I'll say
let's
that.
see, because Spotrac or not Spotrac, sorry, Savant. They obviously have Nestor Cortez in here, so oh no. Maybe it's just Photoshop then, because
Yeah.
he still has his beard. Which anybody in a Yankees uniform with a beard, I mean, he could just be like, "Nah, like I didn't sign up to be here. He just, I'm not shaving. Are you gonna bench me? Okay, bench me.
Can you
Like you have one.
imagine? Yeah.
Like I mean, I can imagine him doing it. Of course, that wouldn't be a good look from other organizations, but other organizations might be like, "Yeah, I don't care. Like, yeah, have a beard. Like as long as you're not being a pain in the ass, otherwise, it should be fine." But we'll see if Nestor fits in there because, uh, yeah, it's I'd say Fangraphs. Where do they have him slotted right now?
In the rotation,
Yeah,
probably 3 or 4. Yeah, looking at Fangraphs has him at 5 actually. Uh, but that's with Woodruff in there, so that won't be the case
yeah.
to start the
If that,
season likely. But the
okay,
Brewers
gotcha.
they have a great track record of reclamation pitching projects. Not that Cortez totally needs that, but it would be nice to see him get back to where he was when he first burst onto the scene.
Yeah, yeah. He was obviously significantly better. 2021, 22 or it's 22. 22.
Was
he
that
had
22? I can't remember
I
his
think
breakout year. Yeah.
yeah, I think 22 he had like a .91 whip. Let me see if my
But they got a
computer.
lot out of Tobias Myers, and even that when they picked up that Savali in that trade, that was a pretty nice trade. And
Yeah.
I think a full season here he'll be good.
Yeah, he had a 2.44 ERA out of 28 games in 22, and then
Yeah,
fell off with a 4.97 in 23, and then last season at 3.77. Still not good, but
kind of in the
um,
middle there. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean I don't expect that microscopic ERA version of him, but if we could get somewhere close, at least better than last year or last year or better, I think it's worth it.
well, I think you guys needed also a left-handed pitcher in that rotation for sure. Like
Hmm.
it's, I mean, having all righties is not really good when going into series, like because then they just, you know, you have the guys who can hit righties just always in there. It makes it so much easier for the club to that they're playing to set up their rosters and choose who they're going to throw out there versus like, okay, this day we have a lefty, this day we have a righty, this day we have
For
a lefty.
sure. Yeah.
So
And I still have hopes that maybe we'll see DL Hall make some starts. I feel like he he was a little inconsistent, of course, but he'd
yeah,
be a
he's one
nice
of those
left-hander to
that
get in there.
he's one of those, and even Connor Thomas maybe. But I mean, DL Hall, I thought he had a lot of upside in Baltimore, but
Yes.
um,
Yeah, that was a big part of that trade, and he actually did well in spurts last year, but he got injured and then got sent to the bullpen, and so he had a
yeah,
couple starts where he really showed his potential, and so hopefully we can see more of that.
yeah. Hopefully, this can come down quite a bit. That 502, but
It
I think
will once, yeah. I mean that was from a few blowups, and if you don't have a lot of innings, that's going to really hurt.
Joey turned out to be your guys' like money grab in that trade. Um, just, I mean, a 3.1 WAR. I mean, that's F4, of course, so it's a little bit higher, but um, let's see
He's
stats
great.
too. Yeah,
He's great.
11 home runs, 239, 398 slug. Like I would say league average, but I mean, as far as like being a productive shortstop, which there's not many out there besides the best of the best, and
Well,
that's kind of it.
that's just it. I mean, he played third base mostly last year, and now he's going to shuffle over to shortstop, which will bump up his WAR, especially his F WAR. And
Mhm.
I don't know too much about. I mean, I've heard that that's his natural position, so I haven't seen him play shortstop, but they have high hopes that he can fill in. Hurts losing Adamas, of course, especially in the locker room, that presence. But
He
we'll
was
see what he
he
can
was
do.
huge last year, and I'm wondering if how much that's going to affect them getting into the playoffs. Because what did Willie have like a 5 WAR, 6 WAR?
I don't think his WAR got that
Wasn't that
high,
high?
but his
No.
counting stats sure did, and
Yeah.
his impact in the locker room and his impact on Jackson Churio in specific was was really immense.
So second, third, shortstop. So he's played
Yeah,
pretty
we've
much
heard he could
all
play
of them.
all over.
Yeah, he can play all of the middle infield and left infield. So how do you do? Let's see, 2024 at third base, or I say at least at shortstop. He was it 10 games. So I mean, he's never committed an error at third or at shortstop, so that's good. But not bad. I mean, you have 85, 5. This is all ranging back, obviously, in minor leagues as well. But really, honestly, 2023 is the last time he played there.
He'll get
So
a whole spring training,
we'll
and he
see.
looked good at third base. So I feel like he can make the transition.
Yeah, yeah, I think it would be perfectly fine. But yeah,
So we'll see. I expect, like I said, them to sign a big bat, which I hope still is coming, and maybe as
who's
these more of these dominoes fall,
who's left?
I don't know.
Who are you gonna
Pete
Pete
Alonso.
Alonso?
I, I
And then you have and then Hoskins is your DH permanently.
oh man,
Like,
no,
is
because
that
we need to save that spot for Yelich primarily. I think coming back. Hopefully,
well?
we get
That's
a
a bit.
healthy season out of Yelich. Man,
Well, that's an issue though, is because because Pete Alonso, he was given a qualified offer, and from what I understand, it's like your second and fifth round pick you have to give
Yeah.
up because of the amount. So it's like, who's willing
No,
to,
well, certainly not the Brewers, but I mean, maybe
yeah,
some.
well, pay him what he wants, but then also give up those draft picks? It's like that cuts so many teams out. And how many teams need a first baseman? Very few.
Very
Very
few,
few.
because that's kind of where they put people.
So Alonso's in a bad spot. And like we were talking, pretty much mentioning, but like it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know who they would sign at this point. I'm trying to think like Santander, but I mean you have your
Yeah,
outfield.
I'm just looking at the first basemen that are out there. It is pretty. You got Rizzo, Joey Gallo. Oh man, it drops off pretty quickly after Pete Alonso.
Yeah, I mean, luckily our Mariners picked up Solano. He's at
Yeah,
least the highest batting average guy. He's not a power hitter, but honestly, I don't think you need a power hitter. You just need someone who can hit the ball where they're not.
yeah.
And if
Get
you have
on
people on line,
base.
yeah,
Get on base. Yeah.
and there's not a lot of options there. So it's like, who's the big sign? Hassan Kim, but is 12, 15 mil too much for the Brewers? Have they announced their budget?
They have not. Um, I know
So,
they wanted to streamline it a little bit from last year, which they already have.
okay.
But I
So
don't know.
it's a big question mark, at least at this point. So, um, yeah, we'll see. But hey, thank you, Jeff, for coming on and talking with me. We've been on for an hour and a half. I'm sure that you have things to do, and
Yeah,
I
no,
don't.
it's been great. We covered a lot of topics on here. I hope
Absolutely.
we got to talk a little bit about cards, which is exciting. One thing that you mentioned earlier, and part of the reason that I got into cards was that it allows you to root for other teams and other players that you don't typically root for, and especially if your team's not doing well, that's a really nice thing to have where you can
Which we
watch
share.
other at bats. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. When the Brewers are having a rough season, then you can look at other teams and see how they're doing, see how those
Yeah,
players
so
are
I mean, I
going.
love guys like Mookie Betts and
Yeah.
Juan Soto, and I've watched those guys for the last few years because I like to watch them play, and then I pick up some cards, and then it feels like a way you can kind of be invested in the player's success, and
Yeah. And
makes watching a little more fun.
it's opened my door, at least, to looking at prospects too, and what they're doing in
Yeah,
AAA, who gets drafted, where they're coming from, who they work with. Like, I wouldn't have really got into it that much until they got to AAA. It's like, all right, who's coming up? What's their numbers? Oh, okay, cool. We're looking forward to him when it comes to looking at off seasons and stuff. So when you see these international signings and then how good they are, and trying to translate that from like international
right,
competition to
right. They're
MLB.
16 or 17 years old in Dominican Summer League. You're like, well, how does that transfer?
They're supposed to be 16, 17 years old.
Yes.
But
Yeah, on our live last night, somebody mentioned that it was Albert Pujols' birthday, and that they said he turned 63 yesterday. Which I don't think is quite accurate, but might be a little bit of grain of truth to that.
yeah, he's 74, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, Jeff, thank you again for coming on. I'd love to have you on again.
Of
Maybe
course.
Chris can join us and we can
Oh,
all
he would love to. Yeah, and
kind of talk.
Chris is a big Braves fan, so he's got his ears on all things Braves, so it'd be fun to
And
talk to.
I would be able to work with him because we both do nothing during the off season, both of our teams, it seems. So we can have that discussion, and yeah, we can talk cards and get his 2 cents. I know he loves to he gets animated when he talks about his belief in carbs. He's like, oh, no.
Yes,
Like,
he
this is
is.
not.
And yes, there is the Chris curse is alive. I think all the cards, because he and I share a lot of cards as well. We have a shared collection, and we finally decided to buy a pitcher last offseason. It was Spencer Strider. We saw what happened with that, and we also bought Garrett Cole, and we saw what happened with that. So yeah, the
So I
Chris
guess we
curse is
should
alive.
avoid investing in pitchers just because.
Investing in pitchers. At least that's our motto going forward. And find out what Chris likes and avoid buying those players.
I'll be
Yeah,
keeping a lookout. Maybe you can tell me all of his players he wants to buy, and I'll be like, okay, not the guy, not
right.
that
Avoid
guy,
those
not
in your
that guy.
fantasy drafts.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's a PSA for everybody. So,
Right. Yeah.
awesome. I appreciate you coming on, and let's do it again.
Absolutely. Let's do it again. And opening day is now what, maybe 60 days away? Are we into the 60s? Feels like it's getting
I
closer.
think we're close to it. So
Yeah.
we'll see who's available and on what team and who's signed, who hasn't signed, because there might be some last minute ones. Well, we can
All right.
talk
Well, I'm
about
going to
it.
keep watching your show to get the latest updates on all these teams. It seems like you have ins with just about every team, so it's fun to watch.
I'm working on it. I'm working
Yeah.
on it. But yeah, for everybody watching, please go down and subscribe to Blabbin, Bout, Slabbin, Spitballin Cards. Check them out. Get your information. Get all of your card information from those two channels, because that's exactly
Please
where I
do.
go to. So it's awesome to have these guys. Again, links in the description. Also, you can follow Jeff on Instagram with my cardboard
My favorite
collection.
cardboard.
My
Yeah,
favorite
hit me up
cardboard.
on my favorite cardboard. Any questions you might have or things to want to chat about the hobby,
Or if
always
you have
open.
anything special to sell, then
Yeah.
maybe Chris and Jeff can
Right.
purchase it. But we'll
Yeah.
I might be blowing up your DMs now with like, hey, I got this, buy it, buy it, buy it. But go check them out, follow
Our
them,
goal is to
subscribe to them.
downsize this year, so we'll see how that goes.
We'll see if you have anything for sale, then maybe somebody can buy it. So again, finally, I appreciate it. Everybody watching, go check it out, click them, watch these videos, and we'll see you guys later.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.